Well, welcome to a live Periscope from the town of Seabrook Town Hall. Today we have with us Kiki Evans, who is going to be talking about CrimeLine for the Hamptons and also an event we have coming up. Kiki, you've been a big supporter of the Periscope technology, and thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
It is good to have you, and I know that you spoke on a whole bunch of these topics at the last Board of Selectmen meeting. We'll retake some of that ground, but I'm sure there'll be some additional information as well. Can you tell me what CrimeLine for the Hamptons is and what kind of activities is involved in CrimeLine?
Sure, thank you very much. CrimeLine for the Hamptons is a nonprofit organization that began in 1994 with the goal of providing our communities and our police departments with more tools to fight crime. One of the ways CrimeLine does this is to provide reward money for anonymous tips that help lead to arrests or indictments, or to help criminal investigations in Seabrook, Hampton Falls, Hampton, and Northampton. Another way CrimeLine hopes to support law enforcement in our towns is by providing items that the police departments need, but that may not be funded in their budgets. And within the past 5 years, CrimeLine began offering a $1,000 scholarship to students who are pursuing degrees in criminal justice or careers in law enforcement, or who are children of law enforcement families who live here in our towns.
Boy, that is a pretty full plate. I know, in addition, we had some discussion at the last Selectmen meeting about Domestic Violence Awareness Forum that's coming up, and I know you wanted to talk about that. Can you tell us not only the date, but what's it about, and what do we hope to achieve there?
Yes, Domestic Violence Awareness Public Informational Forum, hosted by CrimeLine for the Hamptons, will be held on Thursday, October 22nd at Lane Memorial Library from 6:15 until 8 o'clock p.m., and that's at 2 Academy Avenue in Hampton. For those of us heading north on Route 1, that's the street where Galley Hatch is on the corner. So you make a right there and you'll see the Lane Memorial Library on your left. It's a beautiful room, holds up to 100 people comfortably, and it's wheelchair accessible. There's an elevator and stairs. You go downstairs, and it's a great room. We will have a panel of experts who will speak to domestic violence issues and prevention. That includes a safe place and sexual abuse support services, Seacoast Youth Services, Seabrook Police Department, Hampton Police Department, and faith leaders actually from here in Seabrook. Minister Bruce Pierce, who's also the Seabrook Police Department chaplain and minister at Seabrook Church of Christ, and Pastor J.D. Minarella from Healing Rain Ministries in Seabrook. And our panel will talk about first responder issues when they walk into a domestic violence situation, the kinds of resources that are available to people involved in domestic violence, how they can recover and find security and move on with their lives, what we need to do to be able to address the domestic violence situations when we suspect that someone is involved, how these symptoms present in youth and teens, and how we may be able to help them find a path to recovery. Unfortunately, a lot of domestic violence situations manifest themselves in later life if they're not dealt with. They can manifest themselves as substance misuse issues. They can manifest themselves as other domestic violence issues. So we hope to address from all angles just a get-together of the minds who have to deal with this. We'd love to have another forum because there are other people that we would like to involve. So perhaps that's something we'll do in the future. But right now, we're going to make it a very inviting discussion because it's very hard for people to talk about. So we're just going to make it very intimate and hope that people come forward and hope that we can help somebody along the way.
Kiki, that is, you just said something that I want to latch onto, because it is not an easy subject to have for those that may be involved, that may have suffered through some of these issues. Mm-hmm. How do you get people to talk about it, or or come in and contribute and share some of the experiences that they've had?
Usually in these forums, the family members, loved ones, and friends are the people who show up. It's usually not the people who are directly involved, especially because they may be afraid to come forward, but it's usually loved ones surrounding situations like that. So they'll be able to pick up, information, and maybe they'll be able to hand it to the people who need it, or maybe they'll be able to, in privately help guide them to the resources that are available.
What a terrific resource, though, for those that may need the help. And ultimately, we rely on our family members and our friends maybe to help us through some difficult times, and this gives the resources.
It sure does.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping. It's a very serious issue, and October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, in honor of that, CrimeLine, we thought that we would put something together to help strengthen our community outreach. We're trying to aim to do that in the future. So.
And what is that date again, Kiki?
Thursday, October 22nd at Lane Memorial Library at 6:15. We'll have informal discussion and refreshments, and then the formal presentation will begin at 6:30.
And so we are, as we discussed before we went on Periscope, I am going to post a video hopefully later today on the Seabrook town website. I will have the information that you've been so good to provide to the board and to the public. So for those that may want additional information, I'll put the whole flyer up and we'll have it on the Seabrook town website. Great. Kiki, I know that we've talked a little bit about, but even I am not fully versed on what the anonymous tip text service is, and I think that's so interesting. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that was one of the primary ways that CrimeLine aimed to help support local law enforcement when it began in 1994 by offering up to $1,000 in reward money for anonymous tips that lead to arrests or indictments and that help with criminal investigations in Seabrook, Hampton Falls, Hampton, and Northampton. Originally, it began as a phone line, but it wasn't monitored for 24 hours a day, and unfortunately, there would be time-sensitive information that was left that the police didn't get right away. So 2 years ago, we adopted a program called TipSoft, which is a software program that enables people to send their texts into CrimeLine anonymously, maintain their anonymity, and still be eligible for reward money if that's what they want. Most people don't want the reward money, but they're eligible for it, and it goes right to the police officers' phones. So if it is time-sensitive information, it becomes readily available on their phones immediately, while also maintaining the anonymity of the informant. So that's been very, very helpful in the past 2 years. It has been very successful. Most of the time, people don't want reward money, but CrimeLine has offered lots of rewards over the past 2 years since TipSoft has started.
Terrific resource. I know you've already mentioned it, but maybe you talk a little bit about the scholarships that are associated with CrimeLine, and that's something, of course, we're all interested in.
Yes. Over the past 5 years, actually for the past 4 years, CrimeLine has offered a $1,000 scholarship to students graduating from Winnicott High School and students from Seabrook, Hampton, Hampton Falls, and Northampton, who will pursue a degree in criminal justice or a career in law enforcement, or who are children of law enforcement officers who reside here. This past year, Kimberly Ainsley Collins from Seabrook received a $1,000 scholarship to study business marketing at Elmira College, and another individual from Hampton received a scholarship as well to study in law enforcement and criminal justice. So we're very happy to do that. It's just another way that we express support for our local law enforcement families, and they submit essays and their FAFSA information, and the board of directors evaluate the essays, and we all vote on who receives the scholarship every year.
That is a fantastic program. And speaking of law enforcement, talk about a little bit about the type of relationship CrimeLine has with our police departments, because without a good relationship between a group like this and the police departments, you really can't go far. So what about that?
That's right. CrimeLine is made up of volunteers, and we work with liaisons from each of our police departments very closely to research ways that we can help support them, maybe new ideas that we can develop to help make our communities safer, and to help fund items for the police departments that may not be in their budgets. So, for example, over this past year alone, we provided $900 to Hampton Police Department for a forensic toolkit. We provided $1,000 to Hampton Police Department for Cop Logic program, which is an online reporting program to help people submit reports to the police without having to go directly to the station. Of course, I'd like to see Seabrook Police Department become more involved in this, so I'm hoping that we can strengthen our bond and provide things for Seabrook Police Department as well. Northampton, we provided a camera for them to record their self-defense workshop. We sponsored that in February, and it was held for a couple of Sundays at Winnicott High School. And we bought Northampton Police Department and the program a camera that they can record each class and use it as an educational tool. So anytime that police departments come to us with something, our board of directors get together and we decide that's a good thing, and usually we do, and we provide it to them. So we're really happy to be able to do that.
I'm going to make sure that I send a copy of this video over to Acting Chief Gallagher.
Absolutely.
And we are going to make sure that the town of Seabrook and that great police department
That's
is
my
involved.
goal. That's my goal.
And it's a fantastic goal. I want to first thank you for stopping by, but is there anything, Kiki, that you think that we haven't covered here that you'd like to get out there while we're transmitting live?
Well, we are fundraiser. We are donor and fundraising supported. We are not supported by taxpayer funds at all. It's purely a volunteer effort, and we would like to strengthen our ties to the community by doing more community outreach programs like the Rape and Aggression Self-Defense Workshop and the Domestic Violence Abuse Public Informational Forum, and other programs like that in the future. So that's what we plan to do, and we'd love to get more people involved from our towns as volunteers, and also just to provide us with ideas, maybe things that we can help to make our communities safer, and that's our goal.
So if before we do go, if there's somebody that was watching our Periscope and said, you know, that sounds interesting, I'd like to call her and volunteer, how do they get a hold of you, and what do they have to do?
I would visit CrimeLine right on Facebook, and then just message us through there. That's probably the easiest way for everybody to contact us.
Yeah.
The phone number isn't effective anymore as it used to be, so I would say go right to Facebook and message us there. As
you and I are on Periscope, it's obvious that this is a digital world, and so that's right. The best way to get in touch. I will put this video up on the Town of Seabrook website.
Great.
It will have some of the contact information for the group. And I can't thank you enough for coming by. I hope we can do this again.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping in to a live Periscope, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks very much.
Okay.